Alright, guys. Part two. So, again, sorry I'm absent. I'm at home with a kid with a fever. Um, I hate being absent because I can't stay connected with what you guys are doing. So, sorry about that again. But hopefully, you had a chance to try these couple problems on here. And it says, we're talking about ratios. So, I've got this extended ratio, a 2 to 3 to 5 ratio, which means you're taking the angles of a triangle, essentially, and cutting them up into a 2 to 3 to 5 ratio. You could call it 20 degrees, 30 degrees, 50 degrees, but that doesn't add to 180. And you could do some guess and check to try to get you there. But a more efficient way, if they're not integers especially, is if you just call it 2x, 3x, and 5x. And that x is sort of the part that makes it all add up to 180. So, which leads to an equation, 2x plus 3x plus 5x is equal to 180. In other words, if you reduce this ratio of these three parts, you just get 2 to 3 to 5. So hopefully that equation made sense. We did one problem like that a couple weeks ago, kind of similar to that. And of course, eventually you can figure out and solve that x is 18, which isn't what the question's asking for. Go back and reread it. It says find the measure of each angle. Well, you plug that back in, you double it, you get 36 for the small angle. You triple it to get 54, and you multiply it by 5, and you realize it's also got a 90-degree angle in there. So it's a right triangle, and of course I'm looking for two words here. What kind of triangle is it? So it's a right triangle. That's one adjective that describes it. And then in terms of side lengths, you don't know the actual side lengths, but you know that none of the angles are equal, which means it must also be scalene. So hopefully that made sense. Try the second one if you haven't already done it. It's a perimeter question. Similar setup here. It's an extended ratio, 2 to 3 to 4 to 6 to 9. In other words, those 5 side lengths could be set up in an equation, 2x to 3x to 4x to 6x to 9x. They have to add up to 132 feet in this case because it's a perimeter that's given. And certainly, hopefully, you can all solve that if you want to pause and try it on your own and then plug it back in to find each side length. That's the last part of that. X should have been 5.5. We love decimals. And then, of course, you can double that to get 11 for the smallest side. Triple it to get 16.5. Multiply by 4, quadruple it to get 22. And then, of course, this side must be 3 times as much as that one. So this one must be 33. And then the longest side is 49.5. And to double check it, you could add these all up. Hopefully they'll add up to 132. Let's confirm if you really got it. So we're talking about ratios, talking about proportions. Here's a little step up in terms of the level of question on it. Here's a rectangular shape, a rectangle, and then a triangle. And I'm giving you on your paper, it should have this ratio given, ED to DF. In other words, like the length to height ratio is 3 to 2. This is a 3 to 2 ratio. And then to connect that, I'm going to give you actual things in terms of x. I want you to try to solve for x. So this is x squared, and the height is 3x plus 6. So I'm trying to do this algebraically. I'm trying to do it with set up a proportion, as it says in your paper, solve and set up a proportion. And you know that ED to DF is a 3 to 2 ratio. This is a 3 to 2 ratio. So I would start with something like that. The ratio of x squared to 3x plus 6 is a 3 to 2 ratio. And when I say is, hopefully everyone knows that translates into equals. So you have two ratios that are equal. That's what a proportion is. Hopefully you tried the homework last night and you solved some proportions. Now the rest of this chapter is really about setting up those proportions, which is really the geometry part of it. Solving this thing is algebra 1. Certainly you can cross multiply 2x squared, 9x plus 18. If you take the product of each of those, cross multiply. And this one you're going to have to factor. And it's not going to be the easiest one in the world to factor. So get everything, move these two over to the left side by subtracting. And there are shortcuts and tricks on this. Just do guess and check. Your what's going to be in the parentheses has to be something unusual on there because it has a leading coefficient of 2. So as you guess through this, you can see what my guess is up here. But one of these is going to be x and the other is going to be 2x. This might not be 3 and 6. You might have to do like 9 and 2 as factors of 18. You might have to do 18 and 1. So you actually should do the FOIL and figure out if that really works. I set it up here so it actually works. I think if you mess around, you check it here, you get 3x. If you multiply the outsides, you get negative 12x. And negative 12x plus 3x is negative 9x, so they really add up to that. So we're getting to a point of the year you should be able to factor when there's a leading coefficient like this 2 right here that does not simplify out of there. So it gives you two answers. This one, of course, is going to be positive 6. And this is going to give you a value of x that I believe is valid, negative 1.5. If you plug them back in and check them, 6 squared is 36, that's okay. 6 times 3 is 18, plus that is 24, that's okay. If you plug in the negative 1.5, you get a positive here, so that's fine. Negative 1.5 times 3 is negative 4.5. It would actually work for both of these. So both of these answers are valid. You can accept them both. The second one, I give you this ratio, ST to SU. ST to SU is a 6 to 7 ratio. So, I would start with that. 6 to 7 is or equals the comparison of these two. 6 to 7 is equal to 2x over x plus 2, and solve from there. I think we get a fraction on this. Cross multiply and you get 14x, cross multiply and make sure you distribute. Should get 6x plus 12. Subtract out the x's and you get 8x equals 12. Yeah, it's going to be a fraction. We love fractions. So you should get 1.5 or 1.5 on that one. Again, if you plug it back in, it should work here. Plug it in here, and you get 3.5 if you add the 2 onto it. This is 3.5. If you plug it in here, you get 3, which is exactly half of this given ratio. So this does fit the ratio, 6 to 7. It's 3 to 3.5, so that works. All right, this is a lot like, hopefully like you did in the homework. Give these a try, cross multiply. If you need some messy things, you'll have to factor, possibly. I'll be back in the last part to kind of show solutions on these.